Well, we're now joined by Laurent Mignon. He's the CEO of Natixis, and he's participating here in France at this forum, this one-day forum, on a session with the Bank of France called Risks and Opportunities Related to Climate Change, Transparency and Beyond. So, Mr. Mignon, thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful to get the chance to speak to you here in Paris. First of all, on climate change, because one of the questions that a lot of investors ask us is there real opportunities? Can you actually make money trading green bonds and climate change?
Well, yeah, I think today green bonds are trading at similar level than grey bonds, if we can call them. But there's more and more funds going into funds dedicated to green bonds. So as the offer is still lacking, I think the power of the issuer is getting stronger and stronger. So yes, I think that green bond is a very attractive potentially investment. And also it's an investment where people are taking long-term view. And we view that as a long-term and sticky money for corporate that do issue green bonds, and I think it's a very good and interesting market.
What is Natixis doing to help the public sector actually investing in climate change?
Well, we do try to do a lot of things. First of all, we talk about green bond, and we try to be one of the actors on the green bond. We've created Green Hub recently with a cross-asset expertise to bring this expertise to our corporate. But we're doing a little bit more things. First of all, we've withdrawn from many of the financing. We've said 2 years ago that we were withdrawing from financing of coal. We're announcing today that we're going to withdraw from financing any tar oil exploiting and also any exploitation of oil in the Arctic, which are two elements where we think it's too much damaging for the climate altogether. But also we're taking an initiative which is in discussion today, where we're going to apply to ourselves, which is applying a green factor, a green positive factor to the financing of any green initiative, so that when two projects compete together, the green one will have the benefit of having less risk-weighted assets allocated to that, so which makes it will be financially more interesting to put the money into those elements. So that's something we want to apply at Natixis. We will do that by the end of 2018, and we hope many others will follow.
Do any of the initiatives that you're taking need to be mandatory for other banks?
No, I think it's something that all banks are moving quite the same direction today. But everybody take a position which is more in line with what it has as a bank itself or as a position. But I think the green factor is going to be a very important one.
Mr. Mignon, I want to talk a little bit about trading. I know Guy Johnson will also jump in a second. But you're the French bank that's actually the most exposed to the U.S. What do you make of the tax overhaul? Will it help you with the revenue stateside?
Well, we view that as positive for the U.S. economy. So whatever is positive for the U.S. economy, it's potentially positive for our business in the U.S. So we view that as positively. We also view that positively for ourselves because we have a large taxpayer in the U.S. and implicitly we will take benefit from that. So that's two positive elements that we see from the tax bill.
Laurent Mignon, here's my co-host, Guy Johnson, with a question to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Francine. Good morning, sir. Does Friday's deal on Brexit reduce the incentive for financials to leave London and move to Paris or Frankfurt, do you think?
Well, I think the good thing about having an agreement on the Brexit is that it gives some visibility. Financial institutions hate things which are where when you have no visibility. There, it gives visibility, and the fact that it is an organized process, I think it's better for everybody. Whether that will make that more people will stay within London or not is something we can't assess today. But I think the fact that we're going into a negotiated agenda is a much better situation than any hard Brexit.
Where do you think clearing will ultimately end up? A, are you ready to start clearing in Paris? Do you think clearing will ultimately end up in Frankfurt? There is a fragmentation argument that says it would be better to be in one place.
Well, the discussions are ongoing, and it's really a question of making sure that any decision we take about clearing is not going to be a decision that will give a disadvantage to European banks compared to their peers. So we need to find the best solution that will help us having the most competitive situation tomorrow. So that's really what we're looking after.
Let me ask you the question that everybody's talking about this morning, Bitcoin. We've seen the start of futures trading. Is Bitcoin becoming a legitimate product?
Well, I must say that honestly, when I looked at Bitcoin the first time, I was a little bit surprised, and I thought it was something like a specific thing there in San Francisco or in the Bay. It has become a big thing, and whatever you may have as a position today is something you need to be thinking about. Whether we want to do trading on Bitcoin, the answer is today no. Whether we need to consider what is happening today, yes, we need to give more consideration to that, and it's certainly not a small phenomenon. I would still be cautious and say that to people that want to invest in it. Volatility is very high, so let's beware.
How do you explain this phenomenon? Is there because there's an appetite for an asset class that doesn't exist anymore, or is it something else? What's underlying this demand for it?
Well, I guess that there's a lot of people saying that it has grown fast, that are still attracted by the potential return that it will provide. That's where I say beware, because this is highly volatile, low liquidity, so it can move one way or the other very fast. Whether this become a real currency long term, I mean, it is a currency, but it's something that's spread around, is something, as I say, we need to assess. I would have said no 2 or 3 years ago. It's probably something where we need to give more consideration today because it developed itself, and we have to look. We have the habit that a currency should be something of the sovereignty of countries, but let's remember that for a long period of time we saw that money would not exist without the gold. Today money exists without gold, so maybe it's something that we need to consider.
When we look at your trading business, when do you see more opportunity there? When will the markets turn to a little bit more volatility or something that's a little bit more appetizing?
Well, yeah, really what we're doing is we're trading only for the purpose of client services. So if we were to see more and more clients that have some interest in the Bitcoin, it's probably something we might start to consider, but for the time being, it's not true. We don't see that much appetite from our corporate clients going on to Bitcoin.
I mean, you've outperformed a lot of your, rivals in 2018. 2017. Will you continue to do so in 2018? And where are you positioning yourself for growth?
Well, we've outperformed. We're very pleased about it. The reality is that we've set a new strategic plan, which we call New Dimension. The whole idea is to create more value based on an asset-light strategy, which we already have developed successfully during the precedent plan. Our target is to reach 13.5% to 14% of return on equity by the end of the plan, and we hope that with that plus a generous dividend policy and a significant growth, we can generate significantly more value to our shareholder, and thus that our share price will continue to perform right.